I'm going to wait to get the final ticket count, but I, through Ohio Valley Wrestling, promoted at least, I believe, 3 events in this town at the Louisville Gardens that sold more tickets than, or distributed at least more tickets than they did over there at the Yum Center, the 23,000 seat basketball arena that they, for some reason, chose to broadcast their national television program from. And when you look at, because the first thing I wanted to see was the crowd shots, right? And I think that's why it was 5 minutes in before they actually went to the arena of the program. But they shot one side of the end of the bleachers and the end of the bleachers in the lower bowl, and that's all they could shoot all night. The upper deck was completely blacked out. Half the building was not set up for anything anyway. The entranceway, it was a big entryway, wasn't it? Big screen. And they couldn't turn around and shoot over their shoulder because that was the goddamn, the wilds of the northern Yukon. They were shooting moose in the balcony.
Every time a wrestler needed to get a reaction from the audience, they had to turn away from the camera.
Yes.
To talk to the people because there was no one on the side of the camera.
But you know what? And honestly, as a rib, 40 years ago, we used to do spot shows, and they'd have us outdoors at the high school football field, and they would put the ring close to one side, right? I mean, we're not putting 5,000 people out there in Saltville, Virginia. But they would put the ring next to one side, and all the people would be on the one side of the grandstand. And the first thing I would do when we were introduced is I'd hold the boys' hands up to the empty side. Just to fuck with them. And then I would argue with the empty side also later on. But anyway, so they were at the Yum Center. We talked about it earlier in the program. They had people out on the street passing out the free tickets. People wouldn't take them. They've had Jeff Jarrett on the local cable, Spectrum Cable News. They had Big Show over at OVW plugging the 2-for-1.
Did you see Jeff Jarrett on the news? Did you actually see it?
Yes. No, actually, because when you turn the cable box on, by default, it comes onto the Spectrum channel, and then you have to go on from there. And Stace had turned the TV on in the studio area outside, and as soon as it popped up, his face was there. I'm like, what the fuck? But they played
I'm
the
here
same
with the weather,
stories.
Jeff Jarrett. That's his day job.
Well, yeah, but no, they play the same stories every hour, so it's not like, it was just complete random chance. But nevertheless.
What'd they talk about? I mean, was it all about AEW? Did the newscaster seem to know anything? Did they mention anything about the history of wrestling in Louisville?
No, it was a talking head clip of him, and he was saying that, Louisville has a great history for wrestling, and he mentioned the fabulous Jackie Fargo. I mean, what else are you going to do? He couldn't really mention all of the OVW names besides Big Show that we had here that people were, Cena, Batista, Orton. That's plugging the other guys. And he couldn't really say Lawler because then they think WWE. So he was pretty much the guy that had the most appeal of the territorial audience that's still left that could be trotted up here. And Fargo's the name you want to mention if you want to get the old time fans, but I can't believe that any 60-year-old Louisville Gardens wrestling fans on Tuesday nights went to AEW when most of the other people in town didn't. So it was kind of a,
Looking for Fargo. That'd be like arriving out of a time machine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is, and the thing is, when we did it on TV 20 years ago here in Louisville, it worked because we were talking about stuff from 25 years ago, which now the spread is we were talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin in his prime, if it was right now. But unfortunately, now they're talking about if it was Bruno in his fucking prime. Anyway, so yeah, that's what they were talking about a lot.